Good morning, everyone. Word with you. Okay, let's do this again. Okay. And today we shall be continually wrapping up our Gospel of Matthew series. If you're a visitor, we have been studying the Gospel of Matthew most of the weeks this year, and this is a three-part finale series, and these are the titles of those. Last week we studied about how Jesus was betrayed, and today we're doing hidden followers and following. So, hidden followers. Last year, there was a movie called Hidden Figures. Are you familiar with that? Three African American ladies who are part of the NASA science project, NASA program to send people to space. We do not know them, and yet they're vital in the success of the space program of the United States. They're called hidden figures because they were not recognized. And it was only recently that people do acknowledge that there is a participation from the African American communities in a predominantly Caucasian white kind of an environment during that time. If you were here last week, we talked about how Jesus, on the night that he was to be betrayed, and on the night of his suffering, had a meal with his disciples. They had a meal, like always. He gave thanks, and he revealed to his disciples that, well, hey guys, tonight you will desert me. For the scriptures will say, God will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. We talk about it. He was with the most intimate people in his lives, followers, 12 of them sharing a night meal with them. And it was during that moment when he said, boom, you guys are going to desert me. That's what he said. And everyone, of course, was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that, especially our main man from last week. And of course, his name was Peter. That's what happened. Now, this is what Jesus said. But don't worry, guys, because after I have been raised from the dead, I will go ahead of you in Galilee and meet you there. So basically, although Jesus dropped a bomb, boom, and say, you know what, guys, you're going to desert me, but, okay, don't worry about it. You're going to leave me for a while, but I'm going to welcome you back, and I'm going to meet you in Galilee. That means it's not going to be defeated. Yes, it's going to suffer. Something bad is going to happen, which probably at that time the disciples don't have an idea, although Jesus has been continually engaging them that this is going to happen. I'm going to suffer. I'm going to die. But they haven't really comprehended that yet. And so Jesus was saying, okay, you're going to leave me, but we're going to meet again. So there's a glimmer of hope in a very, very dark pronouncement by the Lord Jesus Christ. Now Jesus, especially engaging one of his main men, Peter, remember, Peter, James, and John, the inner core group of Jesus Christ from among the 12. That's why a lot of them were like really jealous about it. Peter was saying, no, I'm not gonna leave you. I'm gonna be here for you, Lord Jesus. I'm gonna be here. But Jesus was saying, no, I'll tell you the truth, Peter. This very night before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And that, you will deny 3 times that you don't even know me, that you even know me. That's what Jesus told him. But Peter said, no, it's not going to happen. But Jesus said, yeah. So Jesus went to Gethsemane, and everything unfolded. He was betrayed by another disciple. His name is Judas. He was arrested, and then he was tried with the Pharisees, and he was betrayed by Peter. So this was our topic last week, and we call it unfollow. Because what we're saying is, even if you are a faithful follower of Jesus Christ, there will come a point in time where you could just drop everything and you would just say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Or maybe you are put in a circumstance where it's so difficult for you to continue to follow Jesus. Like from last week's conversation that we had, I think the brother here from the United States says, well, maybe Peter was stressed. And in my Bible study group in the Thai Fellowship, they say, well, he just wants to preserve his life, and that's why he needed to do that. Now, we ask the question, did he fail to love Jesus? Did he fail to believe in Jesus? Did he disobey God? And these are the 5 disciple checks. That's what I call, like a list of all the things that disciples must do. Maybe he failed to commit at the time. The commitment was gone, obedience was gone, and the sacrifice was gone. But deep in my heart, I do believe that Peter still loved Jesus somehow because he felt sorry about what happened. Now, for today's message, it is the continual unfolding of the passion of the Lord Jesus Christ. We're not going to focus on the cross because this is the process of discipleship. And as you can see, we're still focusing on the followers of Jesus. How did they behave? How did they perform? How did they carry themselves in this very, very difficult time in the life of Jesus? So the passage that was, if you would look at chapter 27, it begins with the betrayal of, Jesus, the one who betrayed Jesus, Judas. What did he do afterwards? Peter felt sorry that he betrayed Jesus, that he denied Jesus 3 times. Judas felt sorry as well, but he couldn't really take it. So what did he do? He killed himself, right? Now, Jesus was arrested, he was tried, he was put on trial, he was mocked, he was flogged by the soldiers, and then he was asked to carry the heavy cross, so difficult to bear. Someone was asked to help him out. I'm just going through the passion stories here because this is not the time for us to focus on this, but we're just focusing on where were the disciples here, even at this time when Jesus was suffering? Not there. They needed to ask someone, Simon from Cyrene, to help carry the cross. Jesus' words were true. You guys will abandon me big time. And none of them were there. None of them were even able to show themselves up there to help Jesus Christ. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? That's the focus of our conversation. Jesus suffered greatly in the hands of the Romans to the cross. Where are his followers even at this time? Did they all completely abandon the Lord Jesus Christ? Well, there's good news, right? Because according to the passage that we have read this morning, let's read this together. And many women, okay, read it again. 1, 2, 3, go. And many women who had come from Galilee with Jesus to care for him were watching from a distance. They are still there. Maybe the rest of the 12 were in hiding. Well, there's probably 2 disciples who were left at the cross with Jesus' mom. But the rest were scattered. But these women were there watching from a distance. Do they still believe in Jesus? Do they still love Jesus? Do they still obey God's command? Are they still committed to the cause that they're following? Are they willing to sacrifice? Those are the 5. Always remember that. I've been talking about that, and that will be the theme for us for next year. Disciple checks. Now, if you're a true disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ, those are the things that you need to do. So they were there watching from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of James and John, the sons of Zebedee. The mother of the followers were there. And these women were followers of Jesus Christ, but they were not part of the 12. So they're not the prominent followers of Jesus Christ. They're just on the background. But they were the ones who were left behind to just look the master from the distance, ready to respond if their help is needed. Right? Reflection point for us. A lot of times, we do put premium on the visible ones in the ministry. And we do give credit to the people we see, like frontliners and people, who are really actively serving the Lord. Well done. But a lot of times there are people who will be there no matter what. No, people who will not be recognized for their commitment to follow Jesus Christ, but they're still there nonetheless. I have served in the youth ministry for 20 years, and I always use this classic story. When you start doing your ministry, the most excited ones, the alphas, the alpha males and alpha females, the Indian chiefs. It's good to win them because if you win them, you get the rest of the crowd. But in the long run, you will be left behind with the most quiet ones. You will be left with, the least that you expect to lead. But nonetheless, God in His perfect time will promote them in ministry. The most vocal ones, the ones who have lots of ideas, the ones who will tell you, what, let's do this. I got this from a previous youth ministry that I did. I'm attending this church in another church. Let's do this here. Give them 6 months in your ministry and they're gone. They're gone. But the most committed ones will always be there. That's why for me, when I recruit mentors for youth ministry, I'm not really into the glitz and the glamour of the showbiz type of a youth leader. I'm more for the consistent, the committed, because they will always be there and you will be able to depend on them. But is it only, and this is stretching beyond what was read this morning, and this is like a later development in my sermon preparation. Was it just girls who were like following Jesus at the time? Can we read this together? 1, 2, 3, go. This evening approached Joseph, a rich man from Arimathea, who had become a follower of Jesus Christ, went to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. So there was a guy, and he was rich, he was prominent. Was he scared? Was he trying to preserve his life? Was he stressed? Because remember the argument that we said, Peter denied Jesus because he just wants to preserve his life. Maybe if he showed himself during the trial, because everyone was saying, I know you, you were with the guy. And said, no, I don't know the guy. Maybe if he stepped forward, then they would say, okay, arrest him as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why everyone scattered. They were so afraid. But what about this guy? This guy has a lot to lose anyway, right? He's rich. And if he's identified with Jesus, he could be arrested as well. But no. And to whom did he go straight into? Went to Pilate. Can I have the body of the guy? Okay. And he's a follower. He's a follower of Jesus Christ. So these are people that we don't really remember, but they're actually there and they continually followed the Lord Jesus Christ. Still with me? Still with me, guys. Okay. So again, check. Did Joseph of Arimathea continue to believe Jesus? Yes. Did he continue to love Jesus? Yes. Did he obey? Yes. Did he commit? Did he sacrifice? Yes. The same way with the women who continued to follow the Lord Jesus Christ. Again, disciple, check for every one of you. In your journey of faith right now, regardless of whether your life is in danger, regardless of whether you're facing persecution at work, regardless of your visa status, regardless of your medical health, regardless of your final exam, where are you in Jesus Christ? And where is Jesus in you? When crunch time comes, will you continue to believe in Jesus? Will you continue to love Jesus? Will you continue to obey Jesus? Will you continue to commit in Jesus? And are you willing to make sacrifices for Jesus? Look around you right now, and you will see some of our students are not here. Why? Because they needed to study. Will 1.5 hours of worship of God make you fail your exam, really? For sure, you can spend that 1.5 hours doing social media or chatting with your friends. This is just one classic example, okay? Sorry, I just need to tell that. The same way with the workers. Those who are working, they say, well, you know what, I'm very tired of the week, you know. You can spend hours chatting with your workmates and meeting up for coffee. What is 1.5 hours? That's from 11 o'clock to 11:30 in terms of following Christ. I was this every week now, we're doing some recruitment exercise, you know, asking people to commit in ministry. And I was telling everyone, you know, if you want to serve Jesus, you need to be accountable, you need to commit, and you need to trust. Those are the 8 ACT paradigm that we're telling the congregation, right? We're talking about commitment. I said, as ministry leaders, you don't only come to church on the weeks that you're serving. You come to church as part of the community. And then I realized this week, why am I saying these things to leaders anyway? Those things should be taught to new Christians, right? The commitment to be part of the community is a lesson on basic Christianity. It's not something that should be delivered to leaders. But somehow we need to rehash. We need to do that because, maybe like Peter, we have a lapse in terms of our commitment. We have a lapse in terms of, our belief or love for Jesus Christ. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? See, your presence in the community tells you the health of your relationship with God. If you're dragging your feet to come to church on Sunday, then ask yourself, do I still believe? Do I still love? Do I still obey? Do I still commit? Am I still willing to sacrifice for God? And this is just Sunday attendance. This is not dying on the cross. This is not the way the sufferings of the apostles after they followed Jesus. Some of them were crucified. Peter, of course, like tradition would say, was crucified like upside down. Some of them were beheaded. I always say this, put yourself in a church in Syria, a Christian church in Syria or in Egypt, the Coptic Christians whose churches were being burned. Maybe this disciple check test, would probably apply there because a lot of them were dying in that context. But for us, we're given the privilege to be with God. What is 1.5 hours of our time that is committed to worship God? That's why when we were starting our worship this morning, it's all about Jesus. Jesus draws us here. Don't come here with a certain air and saying, you know what, God, you owe me because I showed up today. Oh, no, that's not the way to do it, brothers and sisters. That's not the way to do it. And it's not even about recognition, right? I mean, I have encountered Christians along the way that if the pastor don't shake their hands, they'll say, I'm not going to return to that church anymore. The pastor doesn't like me. The pastor doesn't love me. No. Look at these hidden followers, like they were never recognized, but they were still following. Let's continue now. Early on Sunday morning, and this is chapter 28 now, as the new day was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went out to visit the tomb. So they were there still. The passion story was over. Jesus died on the cross. They were still there, trailing, following, making sure that Jesus is okay. Yes, he's dead, but we love our master. We need to be there for him. So they were there, and they were ready to minister and to prepare the burial of Jesus. Then the angel spoke to the woman. So there was a supernatural encounter. And he said, do not be afraid. I know you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. And he said, this one. Can we read this together? He isn't here. He is risen from the dead, just as he said would happen. Come, see where his body was lying. Scary episode. Yes, they followed Jesus. Yes, he saw these miracles, but now there's an encounter with the supernatural being, and that's an angel. And then the angel said, now go quickly and tell his disciples that he has risen from the dead. And he's going ahead of you in Galilee. You will see him there, and remember what I have told you. There was already a command. It's not just enough that they encountered an angel, but the angel has something to say to them. There was a message, and there is something for them to do. If you are a follower of Jesus Christ, how would you respond to this? Right? So the women, can we read this together? 1, 2, 3, go. The women ran quickly from the tomb. They were very frightened, but they were also filled with great joy, and they rushed the disciples. Did you see that? It's like high tense moment, and they were like just soaking into the information, soaking into the supernatural experience, soaking into the good news that Jesus is risen, and they were frightened. Yes, they were frightened, but they were filled with great joy. Why do you think they were filled with great joy? Because Jesus is risen. The Master is alive. See? If you are not a true follower of Jesus Christ and you saw some being, some bright light there, and you were like, okay, this is as far as I go. I don't want to do it anymore. That kind of thing. But they were like so happy. Did they think twice? They say, maybe I'm just going crazy. Maybe I'm just having some visual hallucinations because I'm actually depressed right now because I lost my master. No. They just boom, they ran quickly without even thinking. They were very frightened, but they were filled with joy, and they rushed to give the disciples their message. Okay? Here. And I thought this picture was right? It's like you seeing your girlfriend from a mile away. And you're like, yay, I want to see you. But that's it. That's the excitement and that's the joy in knowing that, hey, you know what? I'm going to continue this. Now, disciple check with the women after the encounter with the angel. Did they continue to believe in Jesus? Yes. Did they continue to love Jesus? Well, all the more because Jesus is alive. Did they obey? Did they obey the directive of the angel? Yes. Did they commit? Yes, they continued to commit. And actually, they could have just done the dishes on that day or attended to their own families, but they were there, sacrificing themselves, preparing the, like the embalming process during the time. They were willing to sacrifice for Jesus Christ. When was the last time, church, that you were so excited about something for Jesus? Like going to Japan, okay? I think a lot of people will go to you and ask you about Japan, kind of thing. Say, I want to go to Japan as well, right? That would be good to do. Let me go back to that. When was the last time you felt like this for Jesus? When? There you go. Oh, okay. Did you hear Lulu? She said, like, when I joined, did I hear it correctly? Yeah, when you joined the community, right? Yeah. When was the last time? Disciple check. Where is your heart? Brothers and sisters, when was the last time you were just like... Because you know what? If it's something that's related to God and you're dragging your feet and you're like having second thoughts, and you're feeling lazy, then sorry to tell you, you're not there. Yeah, something is wrong in there. Right? But we want you to be there. And you know what? The women were the first evangelists, right? They were the first to tell them of the good news. And who were the first recipients of the good news? The disciples, the one who ran away, the one who weren't there for Jesus. They need the good news. They need the assurance that, hey, you know what? The guy whom you follow, the guy whom you abandon, he's alive. Shame on you. That kind of thing, right? So they were the recipients of the good news. And when they went, Jesus... I thought when I was meditating this, I was like, oh, this is it. When they went, Jesus met them and greeted them, and they ran to him and grasped his feet and worshiped him. To me, this is just what we're all about, right? This is when we encounter God. The purpose of a corporate worship is for you to encounter God. And that's why this pastor is like really, really persistent. Listen, meditate. Wilson was telling me, you know what, there's only so much preaching you can do, But I said, well, that's the only thing that people have. They don't, that's the only thing, and that's the truth. In this day and age, you have 7 days a week. How many hours in a day? 24 hours in a day. Do the maths, times 7. Okay, and I want correct answers now. Remember we messed up no, it's okay. 7 times 24. And out of that 168 hours, this is the only space where people are intentionally seeking God and listening to His Word and worshiping with the community. If people come here and they don't get anything, I'm not doing my call to be a pastor. That's why even up to the last moment of like, let's do this. Let's call someone. Let's love someone. That's what I do because that's what we're all about. Because the reality is, even pastor for myself, don't tell me that 168 hours or even the 40 to 60 hours that I do for ministry, I'm not focused on the word. I do meet up with people. I do a lot of admin stuff, And sometimes you just want to step away from everything and it's like, I just want to soak in your mighty presence, oh God, that kind of thing. Now we have 1.5 hours together and this is it. This is the posture of a disciple of Christ, meeting Jesus, running to Him, grasping His feet, and worshiping Him. And this is what I would like you to take on every Sunday. When you come to Central Baptist Church, you don't look at this pastor, you don't look at the musicians, you don't look at the pulpit. You seek Jesus. You only look for Jesus. And when you find Jesus, there's just so much in there for you. He touches you and He transforms you. And then Jesus said to them, don't be afraid, go tell my brothers to leave for Galilee. So even at the last moment, right, Jesus is saying, you know what, you need to remind those guys what I told them a few nights ago when I was telling them that, you know what, you're going to leave me, but meet me in Galilee. So this is a follow-up. You know, Jesus is a guy of follow-up. Like, follow them up. Tell them, okay, you know, we'll have a meeting in Galilee and they will see me there. See, such a handsome Jesus, right? Okay, well, he was gone. But I thought, okay, don't be distracted by the model, okay? But I thought that's what following Jesus is all about. It's an encounter with God on a day-to-day basis. When you believe, you encounter God. When you love, you encounter God. When you obey, you encounter God. When you commit, when you sacrifice, you encounter Jesus. You don't need to be the most prominent follower of Jesus. You don't need to be like a televangelist. You don't need to be a YouTube sensation, you know, like of a preacher. You don't need to go viral with your messages online. You don't need to be recognized. All you need to do is to continually follow Jesus. And that is what matters, really, brothers and sisters. The hidden followers here is not in a negative sense. Remember? You know, like sometimes when I was growing up in the 80s, we always have this term called undercover Christians. You know, it's about those Christians who are not really living their life for Jesus. They're Christians on Sunday, Monday to Friday. They're not there. So we call them undercover. And undercover is like a spy. So you disguise yourself. People don't recognize you. And during my generation, that's how the pastors like pounded on us. Like, you need to be a real Christian. You don't need to be an undercover Christian, right? People should see you. People should see you on a Monday to Friday as Christians, not only on Sundays, right? Now, but the hidden followers are not undercover Christians. They're true followers of Christ. They're hidden because they're not prominent. They're not recognized, but they're genuine. They're even more genuine than the 12 at that moment, right? Of course, the 12 will do great exploits eventually. God is merciful. God gives us a second chance, right? But being a hidden follower here is on the positive side because you continue in the faith. And that's what I would like to challenge our community here, okay? In 2018, we will all be true followers of Jesus Christ. We will take the humility posture. We're going to start from the beginning. We're going to start with Jesus. And hopefully by mid-2018, we're ready to commit again and say, you know what, God? We have forgotten a lot of things, but we're going to commit and sacrifice to you. And from there, there's going to be massive regeneration of this community. Do you believe it's going to happen, brothers and sisters? Yes? I believe in God, and I believe in each and every one of you as well. It is possible, but it takes a lot of faith, a lot of love, a lot of obedience, a lot of commitment, and sacrifice for it to happen. Jesus has paid it all. Jesus has done it. It's just a matter of you committing your life to Jesus again. Let us all stand and let's reflect on the goodness of God, even as